a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build Toothless.
Round 1.
I want my Toothless to be small and cute today, so I make him sitting down instead of flying. A sitting pose is easier for me because the body can stay low and stable on the ground. I start with gray concrete for the base shape. Gray concrete is smooth and clean, and it helps me copy the dark dragon color without making everything too black and hard to see. First, I build the front paws. I keep them a little wide because a dragon that sits needs a strong base under the chest. If the paws are too tiny, the whole statue looks weak. For the claws, I use wither skeleton skulls. They are perfect because they already have a narrow, sharp shape, so they look much more like claws than normal blocks. Small details like claws matter a lot on animal statues because they tell you where the feet end and the pose begins. After that, I start the lower belly and chest from gray concrete too. I want the body to feel soft and round, not like a square machine. Now I keep working on the lower body and make the sitting shape more clear. I add more gray concrete behind the paws and under the chest, so Toothless looks like he is resting his weight on the ground. When a creature sits, the lower body usually gets wider near the floor because the legs fold and the body presses down. I try to copy that by making the middle part a little chunky. That helps the statue look balanced from the side. I also make sure the front paws connect nicely into the body, because if there is too much space between them and the chest, it looks like the paws are floating. Gray concrete is nice here because its flat texture keeps the shape easy to read. Toothless is supposed to be cute and smooth, so I do not want too many rough textures. I check him from the front and from the side a lot. If the lower part looks good, then the giant head can go on top without making the whole dragon feel too top-heavy. With the bottom done, I go higher and start building the head from gray concrete too. The head is the most important part because Toothless is famous for that round, friendly face. I do not make it too narrow. I make it wide and a little tall, almost like a cat head mixed with a dragon head. That helps him look gentle instead of scary. I build the front first so I can see the face shape right away. Then I bring the cheeks out a bit because soft cheeks make cartoon creatures look more cute. The mouth area stays low and broad so I have room for teeth later. When I build animal heads, I always think about the silhouette. If the side shape looks right, people can tell what it is even before I add eyes and details. Gray concrete works well again because the big head needs a smooth outer skin. I want the shape to do most of the work before I start adding small, colorful parts. The fun part is the eyes. Toothless needs huge eyes, or he will not look like Toothless at all. I use lime concrete and black concrete to build them. Lime is a great color here because bright green eyes stand out strongly on a gray face. Black helps make the pupil clear, and that contrast makes the dragon feel alive right away. Eyes are very important in statue design because they control the emotion. If the eyes are too small, the dragon looks mean. If they are large and round, he looks curious and friendly. I place them wide enough apart so the face feels open and cute. Then I check the front view carefully, because even one block in the wrong place can make a face look silly in the wrong way. The bright lime eyes also become the main focus point, which is useful. Good builds usually need one area that catches attention first, and on a creature that area is almost always the eyes. After the eyes look good, I close the back of the head with more gray concrete and build the ears on top. The ears are important because Toothless has those tall, sharp ear shapes that work almost like a cat or bat. I point them upward so the head feels alert. If they droop too much, he looks sleepy. Then I open the mouth area and place quartz stairs for the teeth. Quartz is bright white, so the teeth show clearly against the gray face. Stairs are much better than full blocks because they give a thinner, pointed shape. That makes the teeth look less chunky. I also add stone buttons for the nostrils. Buttons are small, and small blocks are great for little face details because they do not ruin the main shape. Nostrils may look tiny, but they help the snout feel like a real nose instead of a flat wall. Now the face has eyes, ears, teeth, and nose, so Toothless finally feels alive. Behind the body, I build the tail from gray concrete. I keep it low on the ground because my Toothless is sitting, so a tail flying high would look strange. A low tail also helps the whole statue feel more stable, almost like it is acting like a third support behind him. I make the tail thinner as it goes back, because tails usually taper. If a tail stays the same width all the way to the end, it looks stiff and fake. On the very end, I add red blocks. I think the red tip is cool because it breaks all the gray and makes the tail easy to notice. It also looks a bit like a repaired dragon tail, which fits Toothless really well. Color accents are useful in builds because they guide the eye and stop one-color statues from feeling boring. Now, my little Toothless is done. He has cute paws, sharp claws, a big head, giant green eyes, pointy ears, tiny teeth, and a long tail resting behind him.
Oh, wow!
Joo-hoo! We're going to build Toothless today. I love building. Mikey has probably already built his Toothless. Ah, Mikey, is that all you've built in that time? Are you sure it's Toothless?
JJ, you only know how to offend me. By the way, I tried very hard.
Mikey, you've made your Toothless too cute. He's supposed to be intimidating. He's a dragon.
Oh, that's it. Stop judging. Maybe then you'll show me how to build Toothless?
Of course, we ran to the place.
JJ, I'm not sure you're going to make it. But in any case, good luck to you. I'll wait for you at the house.
Thanks, then I'll start. Round 2. I begin my Toothless by constructing the front right paw from coal blocks. Coal is the perfect core material for this dragon because it gives a deep, dark surface that feels closer to Toothless than plain gray blocks would. I keep the paw broad and low to the ground because Toothless is sitting, and a sitting pose needs a strong support area under the chest. If the front paws are too narrow, the whole statue starts to look unstable and toy-like. I shape the top of the paw so it transitions smoothly into the foreleg instead of stopping in a hard, square edge. For the claws, I choose gray concrete fences. Their thin shape is very useful because real claws should read as narrow pointed parts, not as thick cubes. The contrast between dark coal and lighter gray claw tips also helps the ends of the feet stand out. On creature statues, these small contact points with the ground are very important for making the pose feel believable. Next, I build the front left paw using the same coal structure and the same gray concrete fence claws. Matching the second paw to the first is essential because front limbs carry the visual weight of a seated creature. If one side is taller or thicker for no reason, the dragon will immediately look twisted. I keep checking both paws from the front to make sure the width and spacing are even. At the same time, I leave a sensible gap between them for the chest to sit above. That gap matters because if the paws touch too closely, the front becomes cramped and hard to read. If they are too far apart, the body can feel disconnected. Creature building often depends on these simple proportional choices more than on tiny details. Once both paws are complete, the dragon already has a grounded stance. The claws also help point the pose forward, so the viewer can tell which side is the face before the head even appears. Behind those paws, I begin the front section of the body using more coal blocks. I connect the forelegs into the lower torso and start establishing the main center mass of Toothless. This part is important because the chest and belly determine whether the dragon looks cute and soft or rigid and mechanical. Toothless should feel rounded and friendly, so I avoid making the torso into a plain rectangular box. Instead, I use coal blocks in layered steps to suggest a curved body. The lower body also needs enough volume to support the head that will come later. If the body is too small, the final statue will feel top-heavy. Building the mass behind the paws first is a practical step because it lets me judge the full sitting silhouette early. Coal works especially well here because it keeps the dragon dark and cohesive while still allowing me to sculpt broad forms with a clean texture. The seated profile is already starting to appear. I continue upward into the chest area. The chest needs to rise above the paws in a smooth way because Toothless has a compact but powerful front body. In anatomy terms, the chest is where the body carries much of its visual strength, especially on a dragon that often crouches and leaps. I widen the upper torso slightly and round it forward so it feels like a real rib cage sitting above the forelegs. This rounded chest also gives me a good base for the neck and head. If the chest line is too flat, the head ends up looking glued on. I keep the shape simple but intentional, using full coal blocks for volume and careful edges for a softer outline. The key here is readability. Even before details are added, the viewer should understand that this is a creature with weight in its front half. With the chest complete, Toothless now has a convincing body core and a natural place for the head to begin. Now I move to the head, which is the defining feature of this build. I construct the front of Toothless using coal blocks, giving the face a broad, rounded shape rather than a long, sharp dragon snout. This is critical for character accuracy. Toothless is not designed like a classic thin-faced dragon. He has a soft, cat-like head with a short muzzle and wide cheeks, and that is what makes him look expressive. I build the lower jaw and upper skull in a way that leaves enough room for the eyes to dominate the face later. Head silhouette matters tremendously here. If the outline feels right, the build will already be recognizable from a distance. I also keep the forehead gently curved instead of flat. Curved visual flow helps friendly creatures look alive. Coal blocks provide the dark body color I need, and their regular texture lets the shape do the storytelling instead of distracting surface patterns. With the basic head in place, I install the eyes using lime concrete and black concrete. This is one of the most important moments in the entire build, because Toothless is famous for his huge bright green eyes. Lime concrete is ideal for the iris because it is vivid, smooth, and easy to notice even from far away. Black concrete creates a clear pupil and gives the eyes focus. Contrast is essential here. Bright lime beside deep black produces a strong, readable expression against the coal face. I place the eyes large and slightly forward-facing to capture that curious, intelligent look. Eye placement controls character. If I put them too high, the dragon looks surprised. Too low, and the face can look sleepy or angry. The eyes also need enough space around them so the face does not feel crowded. Once these eyes are in, the statue stops being a pile of dark blocks and suddenly becomes toothless. After the eyes are working, I shape the ears on top of the head. Toothless has tall, sharp ear-like fins, and they are a major part of his silhouette. I build them upward and slightly outward so the head feels alert and expressive. Ears or fins on a creature can act almost like eyebrows. They change the mood of the face, even if the eyes stay the same. If I made them too flat, the head would lose a lot of personality. I keep them narrow and pointed because thin top details help break the large round head shape and make the dragon look lighter. Then, I smooth the top of the skull and begin refining the back of the head. This upper line needs to flow cleanly into the neck and body. Otherwise, the dragon can start to look disconnected. Good creature building depends on transitions, not just features. The ears now give the head that unmistakable toothless outline. I finish the back of the head with more coal blocks, closing the shape so it feels full from every angle. The rear of a head is often ignored in simple statues, but it matters a lot when the build is large enough to walk around. A well-finished back makes the creature feel solid rather than flat. I make sure the skull has enough volume behind the eyes so the face does not appear hollow. This also helps the head connect naturally into the upper body. Structural continuity is very important in seated statues. because the viewer can often see the build from the side as much as from the front. I keep the neck transition short and smooth, since Toothless tends to have a compact, powerful head and neck shape. At this point, the face, skull, and ears all work together. The front is expressive, the top is sharp, and the back feels complete. The statue now has a very strong character identity. Because Toothless is sitting, I place the rear left leg low to the ground instead of high under the torso. This choice is based on pose logic. A seated animal folds its back legs and lets much of the lower mass rest close to the floor. I use coal blocks again to create a thick upper thigh, and then taper the lower part into the foot. For the claws, I return to the gray concrete fences so the rear foot matches the front paws. Repeating details like claw type is important because it makes the whole creature feel consistent. The rear leg also has a different job than the front paws. It supports the side silhouette and suggests the folded power of a dragon ready to spring up. I shape it carefully so it does not stick out too far. If rear legs spread too wide on a sitting build, the statue can look clumsy. This left rear leg now anchors the back half nicely. I mirror that logic on the right side and build the rear right leg. Again, I keep it low, folded, and strong. Matching the rear legs is just as important as matching the front paws because together they frame the sitting posture. I check both sides from behind and from above to make sure the width is even and the body sits naturally between them. Rear legs on a dragon like Toothless should feel compact but muscular. They are not just decorative bumps. They suggest jumping force, landing stability, and an animal body that could move quickly if it stood up. I use the same gray fence claws so the feet read clearly against the ground. These repeated claw accents also help the viewer count the limbs more easily from a distance. With all 4 legs now in place, the statue has a complete seated base. It feels stable, balanced, and ready to support the long body and wide wings. Now, I return to the torso and extend it backward. I fill out the back of Toothless with coal blocks and create a gentle downward slope from the shoulders toward the rear. That descending line is important because it keeps the dragon from looking too upright. A seated Toothless should feel relaxed and low, not like a standing dinosaur frozen in place. The back also needs enough width to support the wings later, so I avoid making it too narrow. At the same time, I do not let it become a giant block. I want the body to feel streamlined. In design terms, a good body line directs the eye naturally from the head toward the tail. That flow is crucial on dragons because they are long creatures with many connected parts. A messy back interrupts that motion. This smoother rear body now gives me a clean path into the tail and provides enough structural mass to hold the wing roots convincingly. With the torso finished, I begin the tail on the ground behind Toothless. I use coal blocks so the tail remains one continuous dark line with the body. The tail starts thick near the rear because it must feel like a true extension of the spine, not a loose attachment. Then, I gradually reduce the width as it reaches farther back. Tapering is essential for tails. A uniform tail looks stiff and artificial, while a narrowing tail suggests flexibility and natural movement. I keep the tail low on the ground because the dragon is seated and resting. That low tail also helps stabilize the overall composition by spreading visual weight behind the body. In a large creature statue, the tail is very useful for balance in the silhouette. It makes the build look less front-heavy. By the time the coal tail stretches out fully, the dragon already feels much more complete from side view and from above. At the end of the tail, I attach gray concrete slabs. Slabs are a smart choice here because the tail tip should look thinner and more delicate than the body. Full blocks would make the end feel blunt. The gray color also separates the very end from the black main tail, which gives me room for the special repaired fin detail that Toothless is known for. On the left side of the tail fin, I build the artificial section from red concrete and white blocks. This instantly tells the story of the repaired tail. Red is bold, and easy to notice, while white helps define the shape and keeps the fin from blending into the background. On the right side, I keep the tail fin in coal blocks, so one side looks natural and the other looks engineered. This contrast is educational too. A single asymmetrical detail can tell a whole character story without needing words. The tail now feels both accurate and emotionally meaningful. I move on to the left wing and open it wide using black wool. Wool is excellent for wing membranes because it has a softer texture than coal blocks and reads more like stretched skin or fabric. A wing membrane should not feel as heavy as the body bones. That is why I use the coal blocks mainly for the wing outline and support edges. The open wing creates a very dramatic silhouette and instantly increases the scale of the statue. Wide wings also improve visual balance. Without them, the body can seem too compact. With one wing spread out, Toothless feels powerful and alive. I make sure the membrane arcs gently rather than forming a simple square wall. Curves are important in wings because real flying surfaces need broad areas to catch air. Even though this statue is not actually flying, a believable wing shape still depends on the idea of lift and airflow. The left wing now adds motion to the whole build. After the left wing is complete, I build the right wing. Here, I place the coal blocks earlier in the process, establishing the framework first before filling the shape. This is a practical method because the wing edge defines the full span and angle. Once the frame is clear, the rest of the wing becomes easier to read and complete. I keep the right side balanced with the left so the dragon does not look crooked. Wing symmetry matters a lot on a seated dragon. If one wing sits higher or reaches farther for no reason, the entire statue can feel unstable. I maintain a broad, open shape so the two wings frame the body like dark sails. At the same time, I make sure they do not cover the face too much. The face should remain the center of attention. With both wings in place, Toothless finally has his full iconic outline. The body, tail, ears, and wings now work together as one clear dragon form. Because this build is large enough to use as a base, I create an entrance and a path inside. I open a passage through the body and then replace the natural ground blocks inside with black wool. Black wool is a good interior floor here because it matches the dark theme of Toothless, while feeling softer and warmer than bare dirt. A creature-shaped base should still be comfortable inside, and floor material matters for that. Dirt can make an interior feel unfinished, while wool gives a cleaner, more cozy look. I also check the ceiling height and wall thickness while making the passage. On statues, the biggest challenge in turning them into bases is keeping the outer shape believable while giving enough room to move inside. It is finally time for furniture, so I start with the basic living corner. I place a bed, a nightstand, and a lamp inside. These items are important because they turn the dark inner space into a real room instead of an empty cavity. In a black interior, lighting is especially important. Dark walls absorb attention, so a lamp helps define where the eye should rest. I also finish the ceiling in this stage, making the inside feel closed and intentional. A completed ceiling matters because open gaps can make furniture areas feel unfinished. After that, I place a television and some bookshelves. The television gives the base a relaxed, modern touch, while bookshelves add texture and color variation to an otherwise dark room. Then I add wardrobes for clothing and shoes. Storage furniture is very useful in compact bases because it keeps the interior organized. Every piece now has a purpose, and the room starts feeling comfortable rather than just clever. To finish the interior, I place even more bookshelves and add an enchanting table. Bookshelves work very well around an enchanting area because they naturally frame it and create the feeling of a magical study corner. In a fantasy creature base, that kind of area fits perfectly. I hang a painting on the wall to break up the dark surfaces. Vertical decoration is important in enclosed builds because walls can otherwise feel blank and heavy. On the floor, I place red carpets. Red is an excellent contrast color inside a black dragon. It adds warmth, creates a strong path line, and also connects nicely to the red artificial tail detail outside. Good interior design often repeats one accent color across different parts of a build because repeated color makes the whole project feel planned. Now, the inside of Toothless has sleep space, storage, entertainment, magic, and decoration. The exterior feels like a dragon, and the interior feels like a cozy base hidden inside that dragon. Great! My Toothless is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you got such a cute and big Toothless. It hasn't lost its greatness just because it was built in Minecraft. It's incredible.
Thank you, Mikey. I am very glad that you liked my building. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.